I guess we are live now. I just want to make sure that I'm live. All right, I guess it's live now. Hey guys, welcome to another live session from Aussizz Group. My name is Prince. I'm a registered migration agent at Aussizz Group Brisbane branch. So welcome all. I'll wait for a few more people to join. And as you all know, for those who already connected now, this live session is about Ask Aussizz. So if you have any concerns about any questions in regards to the education, permanent residency, employer-sponsored visa, state sponsorship, general skill migration, training visa, or any other employer-sponsored visa, please feel free to ask those questions and your concerns. I'm happy to answer all of them. And I would like to wish all of you happy Women's Day for all the females out there who was connected with us in this live session. Hope you celebrate Women's Day today in a fantastic manner. So, yeah, I can see a few people already joined us today. So thanks a lot for joining us for this session. And let's talk about a few of the things that's happening out there in the migration. We all know that government has proposed some changes in the upcoming months, that there will be some change for general skill migration category. And as far as we know, that as of now, it may not happen in July. It will come in place probably by later this year, where they will make those changes what they proposed a few months back last year regarding general skill migration. But rest assured that it won't happen anytime soon, straight away in July. What a lot of people are concerned about, that what if the point system changes in upcoming July? So yeah, I doubt it'll happen in July. As I said before, majority of the changes from department, what we have seen from the trend in last few years, it happens around October or November. So we are hoping that may happen later this year around November. Now, there has been a lot of questions regarding 189 invitation round as well, that when are we hoping to have this another invitation round from the department? So what I believe that before the end of this financial year, you know, where are we in March? Probably by April or May, there is a very good chance another invitation round will happen for 189. I know there has been a lot of IT, engineering, and other graduates who've been waiting for the invitation for 189. They haven't had much luck from the department, so well, keep your fingers crossed. Most likely it'll happen by May, before the end of this financial year. But yeah, definitely there is a very good chance. If you've lost your expression of interest, make sure to have enough points. If you're working towards it, the more points you have, the better chances you have. And if you haven't lodged your 189, definitely I would say so. Even if you're short of points, there's no harm just lodging an expression of interest. So at least you are in the queue, because what we have seen in the past, if we talk about 2023, obviously we haven't had many invitation rounds. Last year in 2023, majority of the occupations were related to health, teaching professions, but IT engineers have missed out last year. But definitely department is aware of this, and something will be coming up very soon. And I hope all of you have lodged your expression of interest will end up getting the invitation. But my piece of advice, try to work on your points. The more points you have, the better chances you have. And another thing I would like to recommend is focusing on your partner's skills assessment. Majority of the applicants I've seen in the past, they have enough points, but still they missed out for state nomination. Talking for 189, it may not be the priority for skilled occupation or skilled partner. But if you are applying for a state sponsorship, especially if you're in Victoria, that is one of the state where they really prefer to have a skilled partner. So if that is something you are still missing out, I would definitely recommend to get your partner skilled and get the skill assessment done for your partner. So let's move on further. I mean, I'm going to talk about, I'll give you a couple of suggestions as well. A lot of applicants have been waiting for 189, 190, or 491, and they haven't had much luck in last 6 to 8 months of times in this financial year. Because there hasn't been much happening in the industry itself. When we talk about general skill migration, the quota for all the states are pretty limited, and it's pretty competitive as well. So my suggestion to all of you guys, for those who are working in their profession, do look into the option of employer-sponsored visa. If you have been working with in your profession, and the company you're working for, make sure you reach out to them and see if they are offering an employer-sponsored visa, or if they are happy to sponsor you, because that's another option you can always look into. And if you're a good asset for the company, I'm quite confident that the company will be willing to go ahead and sponsor you, because they get a commitment from an employee like yourself for next 2 to 3 years of time, which every company wants. Like they don't want to lose an asset. So if you haven't looked into that part, make sure you look into it, talk to your employer, and if your visa is running out, that would be the best option you can go for. For student visa, obviously, a lot of you who's student visa, I mean, not student visa, basically, if you're on a 485 visa or a temporary graduate visa, if your visa is about to expire, there has been a lot of misconception out there that, well, anybody who's going to apply for a student visa after 485 visa will not be granted. That's not 100% true. The way the department going to look at is, if you have completed a bachelor's qualification or a master's qualification in Australia, and you applied for a temporary graduate visa afterwards, and if your visa is about to run out, you can still apply for a student visa, but we highly recommend do not go for any, lower level of qualification like a diploma, advanced diploma, or graduate diploma. We would recommend to, if you're applying for a student visa after 485 visa, we recommend to apply for a higher qualification. Like if you completed master's by coursework, we recommend to go for master's by research if possible. And if not, at least keep it to the same level, either by master's by coursework. For example, if you've done like, MIT, for example, try to go for MBA, or if you can find something in, specialization in research, like MBA in marketing and all of that. So that helps for you to get the visa granted. And apart from that, there are a few other things I would like to mention. As we all know, for those of you who doesn't know about this, the only state at this point of time, WA, Western Australia, they are not accepting any application, or they have closed the quota for this financial year. They're seeking an additional quota from the federal government, but we haven't had any news from WA that they have received the quota or not. But you can still lodge your expression of interest, but it will sit in the queue. It may not be assessed in this financial year, unless they get new quota and that they can process those expression of interest in the queue for this financial year as well. I'll be taking some questions, and obviously, I'll try my best to answer as much as I can. But if you have any specific question, try to give myself as much as detail in your question so I can answer it appropriately. So let me just see a few questions that are popped on my screen. Okay. So Arshdeep is asking, can we do community service diploma after 485 visa? Definitely you can do, Arshdeep. You can enroll in community service course, diploma course. But as I just mentioned that, if you have consumed, or if you have used your 485 visa, depending on your previous qualification, if you're going to apply for a student visa under Diploma of Community Services, the department will be scrutinizing those student visa application for those students who've been on a student visa. They have applied for a 485 visa. So if you've done bachelor's, my recommendation would be going for master's, or if you've done master's, my recommendation would be keeping at least a master's level or higher if possible. But if you're going to go with Diploma of Community Services after 485 visa, there is always a risk involved, because you must be aware of this thing, that there has been some announcement from the government or the government recently that people or students who are going to apply for a student visa after 485 visa, that area or that section will not be as easy what it used to be. Back in the days, students who were struggling with the invitation from the department. They completed their study. They applied for a 485 visa. They used to buy more time. They used to apply for graduate diploma of management or advanced diploma of leadership management, XYZ courses like WET courses, just to buy more time. This is where department, point of view will be changing, or strategy is changed, that, okay, we want to make sure that, these students who are here, who have been here in this country for 4 to 5 years of time, they are not using the student visa pathway just to buy more time and remain in the country. As long as they see that, yes, there is a level up from your previous qualification, or there is a career progression towards your qualification, the new qualification you're going to study, there's a good chance you will get the visa granted. But my recommendation for, Diploma of Community Services, just double check and look into it, or speak to somebody who can guide you accordingly, because you don't want to be in a situation where you applied for a student visa after your 485 and getting a refusal from the department. That will kind of, put you in a situation where you're not getting anywhere. I hope that helps, Ashley. All right, so the other one I've got is Liz Grenobles. Our registered nurse, 65 points, getting invitation for 189. Definitely, Liz, there is a very good chance for nurses, especially what we have seen in last year, 2023, all the invitation round that happened with 65 points. Most of the nurses got the invitation. But as you know, that 65 point is the minimum threshold, or the points category that you can apply expression of interest under. If you can increase your points by 5 points or 10 points minimum, there is a very high chance you will end up getting 189 invitation when it happens, when the round happens. But yes, if you ask me if you're sitting on 65 points, yes, there is still a good chance, but there's no harm increasing 5 or 10 points. That will definitely increase your chances to the top level to receive the invitation. All right, so I've got JV Suresh. I'm currently on a COVID visa and finishing in August. Can I do any diploma, and I need to do masters, because I heard nowadays they are not going to give visa for diploma. Suresh, it's not like that nowadays. You're not going to get a visa under diploma, depending on your previous background or previous qualification, or how long you've been in the country for. There are a lot of factors that needs to be looked into before we say that what are the chances of you getting a visa refusal or visa through, like getting a successful visa grant. So if you've been on a COVID visa, depending how long you've been on a COVID visa for, and have you done any studies in Australia or not, have you used your 485 visa or not, all those factors needs to be looked into. It's really hard for me to answer that straight away, that, okay, well, you do masters and straight away you will get the visa. If your previous qualification has been bachelor's or master's in Australia, and you applied for a 485 visa and for the COVID visa, my recommendation is to go for master's only, to avoid any risk of visa refusal, rather than just applying for a diploma course where your application will be scrutinized. I hope that helps, Suresh. Now, DJ is asking, any chance for computer system network engineer 189 for offshore candidates with 65 points? Unfortunately, the chances are very less, to be honest, DJ, because 189, it's a competitive area where a lot of applicants who are already present in Australia have applied for this particular occupation, expression of interest. And I know myself, at least, 5 to 10 clients who we are processing, they're sitting on 75 to 80 points and maybe more, and they've been waiting for the invitation quite a long time. So you being offshore candidate applying with 65 points, the chances are very less. My recommendation is to work on your PTE as well as NATI, and work experience points if you can claim that as well. If you're around 75 or 80 points mark, there is a good chance, or a good hope, I would say. But with 65 points, I do not want to lie to you or give you false hope that the chances are pretty less. Right. So sorry, guys. For some reason, I mean, the questions the questions that were asked before, I can't see those questions coming up again. Give me 1 second, please. Right. Okay. Sorry, for some reason, I guess, I mean, if I have missed any questions before, can you please post those questions again so I can answer that? Because I can't see those questions that you asked. I can't see that on my screen. For some reason, it's just disappeared. All right, so Gur Kaur is asking Ian on 75 points in Victoria, living and working in Victoria with 1 year of experience. Yes, Guru, 75 points, I believe that's including the state nominated points. So there is a very good chance for enrolled nurse with 75 points. I hope you're talking about 190, and I believe that you're working in your profession as well. So if that's the case, there is a very good chance for you to get the invitation when the next invitation round happens for Victoria. So yeah, I mean, as I said, like if you have any questions regarding study as well, or any particular state that you want to move to, or if you want to know, okay, well, apart from general skill migration or points, visa categories, what are the other option? Talk to me about it, ask the questions. From my point of view, a couple of things I wanted to mention, because I know nowadays what's happening. A lot of applicants who were on a student visa, they applied for a 485 visa, and either they applied for a COVID visa. Now they are in a situation their visa is about to run out, and they want to find out, okay, well, what do we do? So you have to, all those applicants in this situation whose visa is about to run out and they've consumed their 485 visa or a COVID visa is about to run out, for all of you, you need to look into two factors: whether is student visa pathway is the right pathway for you. Can you afford to study further in Australia? If not, look into the visa category, which is not very common nowadays. It's getting very popular and beneficial for a lot of students. If you have completed your studies in last 2 years, or if you have 1 year of full-time work experience in last 2 years, there is a visa called 407, which is a training visa. So if you have an employer to sponsor you, you can certainly apply for this visa. Yes, you do need a sponsorship from your employer. You can apply for a training visa, and this training visa can be granted from 12 months to 24 months. So rather than you applying for a student visa, I would say if you're working in your nominated occupation, or if you have experience, or if you have completed studies, let me just give you an example, like commercial cookery, for example, commercial cookery, right? So anybody who did the commercial cookery 2 year course and they got 18 months of 485 visa, for some XYZ reason, they never completed their job ready program, and their visa is about to run out. In that case, you can always look into the training visa category. If you have an employer to sponsor you because you completed your studies in the last 2 years, you can always apply for 407, which is a training visa. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention with training visa, you can use this work experience on a training visa towards your 482 visa, which is an employer-sponsored visa as well. It's called a temporary skills shortage visa. So you can use training visa as a pathway for temporary skills shortage visa that leads to permanent residency. One of the most important thing I would like to share with all of you, for those applicants whose occupation falls on the short-term list, I don't know if any of you or most of you knows about this or not. On 25th of November last year, a few months back, government announced that all the short-term occupations are eligible to apply for permanent residency via 482. So back in the days, for example, cook and chef, if anybody was a chef, they could apply for 482. They used to get a visa for 4 years. They apply for permanent residency after 3 years. So this all has changed. It's gone back to the time when we used to have 457 in this country. So, you can apply for a permanent residency after 2 years working with the employer, and regardless whether your occupation falls on the short-term list or long-term list. So if you are a cook, you can still apply for a 482 visa. You get a visa only for 2 years, but you can apply for a 186 visa, which is a permanent residency visa, after 2 years with the employer. And one of the other proposed changes from the government is, back in the days, you must have worked with the employer for minimum 2 years to be eligible to apply for 186 visa. But as per the new announcement, it hasn't been implemented yet. But as per the new announcement, you got to be working on 482 visa for minimum 2 years. So it's not like, it has to be with the same employer. If you worked with one employer for 1 year and you work with another employer for another 1 year, you can accumulate 2 years of experience and apply for 186 visa with a new employer. So you don't have to be working with the same employer for minimum 2 years. But as I said before, this is the announcement that has been made, but it hasn't been implemented in law as of now. So we are still waiting for government to release the legislation, implement this in legislation that this can be used. At the same time, there was another category for employer-sponsored visa as well. Back in the days, if your employer terminates you or you resign from your position, you had only 60 days to look for another employer. That has been again proposed to 6 months instead of 60 days. So that gives you enough time to find another employer to sponsor you. So there has been a lot of changes. I'm sure you would be aware of it, but I'm just recapping what I know that may be helpful to you, that some of you may be in that situation, or if not, you can share it with your friends and, tell them about this information, that these are the new changes that has been proposed and it will come into effect anytime soon. Anyways, getting back to the questions. Will telecommunication field engineer will be invited this year? 100 points. Amazing, Bobby. That's a pretty good point score, 100 points. Telecommunication field engineer, I believe you're talking about the outcome that you get it after studying, advanced diploma of information technology or telecom network engineering. Now, when you talk about this particular occupation, there has been very limited invitations since December 2022. We haven't had any invitation last 2023. But if the invitation round happens, my gut feeling, I don't want to make you feel disappointed, but my gut feeling says the chances for 189 invitation round for this occupation are pretty limited, because going with the trend, what has happened in last few months or last year in 2023, government has been, prioritizing health services or teaching services, and they're inviting these applicants first as compared to the other applicants who are working in a different profession. Seems like their priority is different, and they want to use the quota for those professions where there is a shortage within the country. But do not 100% rely on 189. I would highly recommend to look into state nominated visa as well, 190 or 491. But with your point score, there's a very good chance you may end up getting 190 or 491, depending on the state you are in. So Bobby's asking again, will there be invitation for engineering with high points, which they said they will consider? I've just explained that, Bobby. As I said, do not rely on this 100%. Yes, when you say government said that they will consider, there has been a lot of things that has been said last year as well, that we will have enough quota for this financial year. State will get enough quota. Nothing like that happened, and we were promised earlier last year in 2023 that every quarter we will have an invitation round for 189 from the government, but that didn't happen either. So there has been a lot of promises that were made, but nothing has been, delivered from the government. They have got a lot of challenges to deal with as well. So they're trying to fix up the migration system and coming up with a lot of new ways. So yeah, do not have too much hope for 189. Focus on 190 or 491. Chef with 80 points, graduate. Jagan is asking, chef with 80 points, graduate from South Australia and doing JRP from South. What are the chances for 190? If you're based in South Australia, Jagan, and if you're completing a job ready program for there from South Australia, there is a very good chance for you to get the invitation for 190. Just continue working, complete your job ready, because for South Australia the requirement has been changed again in last few months, where you got to be working and living there for minimum 6 months to 1 year. But in your case, there is a good chance because you do tick the boxes for the state requirements. Any chance? Zippy is asking, any chance for ECD 75 points in Victoria for 190? All right, Zippy, I cannot answer that straight away with 75 points, because points is okay, but depending if you're married, if you're just on your own, there are a lot of factors that we need to look into when we talk about Victoria 190, whether you're working in a profession in your nominated occupation, or if you're working in any other occupation from skill level 1 to 3, how much your earnings are. There are a lot of factors that depends whether you will get the invitation for 190 Victoria or not, because there has been some instances in the past where I've seen that applicant with less point got the invitation because they had a skilled partner, or they had more experience, or they had a good salary. They got the invitation as compared to the applicants with higher points in the similar profession. So you need to jot down and see whether you tick all the boxes or not. If you get onto the website of Victoria State Nomination, they've set down the criteria there, how they're going to look for it. But if you're married, skilled partner is the topmost priority. Accounting option with 95 points, which state is better? Currently New South Wales regional, working in accounting field. Puneet, if you're working in New South Wales Regional and you're sitting with 95 points, I'm sure New South Wales have got enough quota left at this point of time, because I think that's the only state where they haven't invited a lot of applicants. And if you're working in regional, there is a very high chance you will end up getting the invitation in this financial year, because New South Wales, the requirement for New South Wales are not straightforward, not easy to meet, especially for regional. If you're looking for 491, 190, definitely it's very competitive. But if you have good numbers of ES experience, then there is a possibility of 190 as well. But for 491, if you're in regional, if you're working in regional, there is a good chance, because they have got enough quota left for this financial year. Muqsadul Islam Reza is asking, electrical engineer 75 points in Victoria. What are the chances in 190 or 491? Mr. Reza, I've just mentioned the same question to Zippy as well. As I said, it's not just about the points. There are other factors that you need to look into if you're working in your profession or skill level 1, 2, 3. If you're working in any of this job which falls under skill level 1, 2, or 3, and how much your earnings. There are a lot of factors that it depends on. If you have good number of years, are you claiming any experience points or not? So just the point itself, it will not define the invitation for Victoria. So you have to tick other boxes as well, because everybody needs to understand this. That it's not just the point factor what Victoria is looking for. There are other factors you need to tick these boxes to make sure that, how do you compete with other applicants who have got similar or higher points. Everybody wants invitation, obviously, but considering the quota, which is very limited, the competition would be there, right? It would be very competitive for everybody to, go for the invitation. How does it make easier for the Victorian state government to invite applicants? Obviously, they want to see the applicant with top skills or top requirements as per the requirement of the Victoria state. So just the points, do not rely on that. If you're not working in skill level 1, 2, 3 occupation, try to find a job in that profession which falls under skill level 1, 2, 3. If you do not have a partner with skill, get them study some short courses. There are 1 year diploma, advanced diploma of civil engineering, or advanced diploma of information technology or telecommunication network engineering. That is very popular nowadays because it gets you the skills assessment straight away. Once you finish the course or completes the course, and you can do that course if you're on a 485 visa or a COVID visa as well. Try to work towards getting your partner skills assessment done to increase the chances of Victoria State nomination or increase your work experience as well. Civil engineer opportunities in WA, Ved Mela is asking, very high and good in-demand profession in WA, because as you know, Ved, it's in their top priority list. Unfortunately, they are closed for this financial year because they've received enough expression of interest. But if you haven't lodged your EUI, I would highly recommend to lodge your expression of interest. At least you're in the queue. It may not be processed in this financial year, but when they reopen again for the next financial year, there is a very good chance, you will get the invitation as a civil engineer, because this is what they need in WA at the moment. Deep Singh is asking, what are the chances of getting 190 in Victoria with 90 points in ICT support engineer? I guess everybody's asking about Victoria and points. Yes, definitely, you have pretty good points. But again, going back to the same thing, what I just mentioned, you have to look at the other boxes as well, whether you're meeting those requirements or not. Because for Victoria, it's not just the points factor anymore. There are other factors you need to look into. Look at your profession, what job you're in, what sort of salary you're getting, whether your partner is skilled or not, whether you have good experience in your profession or not. There are a lot of other factors they're looking into. So my recommendation, if any of that you're missing out, just focus on that part, rather, because points is not an issue. You got enough points, but it's enough to get the invitation from Victoria, but work on the other areas. Himal Bhattaria is asking, 85 plus 5, computer network system engineer, single, superior English, salary claim, Victoria, any chances for 190 and 189? Okay. Right, so Himal, for 189, yes, there is a slight, I wouldn't say it's very high chances, but yes, there is a good opportunity that you may get the invitation with how many points you had? 85 points. There is a opportunity that you may get a 189 invitation, because computer network system engineer itself, it's a competent profession where a lot of applicants are out there with the similar skill assessment and high points have applied for 189. So there is an opportunity for 189 invitation, but for 190 in Victoria, definitely work on the other areas. As I said, points is not an issue. You got enough points. Just work on the other areas where you can increase the chances to get your invitation issued. You mentioned that the salary you have claimed, which is good. So I hope whenever the next invitation round happens, depending on the employer or the salary you're getting, as compared to the other applicants in the queue, if you're at the top level, I'm quite confident that you'll end up getting the invitation. So Somon Roy is asking, I'm curious about the latest update regarding Dharma. It seems that for the past couple of months, Department of Home Affairs hasn't been accepting any Dharma agreement with employer. Do you have any information on site about this? Well, Simone, I'm not sure because when we talk about Dharma, there are different states with different Dharma agreements. So I don't know which state you're based in. But talking about Queensland, I'm based in Queensland. We have Dharma in Cairns and Townsville. I don't see any problem where department is not accepting application because Dharma is completely separate to 189, 190 or everything. It's a completely separate category. And I'm pretty much sure because I've processed quite a few recently for Queensland as well as South Australia. I don't see any reason why the department is not accepting. We have processed the application. It's going okay, no issues with that. So I don't know. I mean, you probably have to check with the migration agent or the state you're in. I would say just, I need to double check where exactly you're getting stuck because I don't see any reason why Dharma agreements are not accepted with the department. Please look into it. Deepak Rimal is asking 70 points, facility manager, New South Wales, Sydney. What are the chances for 190? Deepak, with 70 points, facility manager in Sydney for 190, wouldn't recommend. The chances are very high. And guys, I mean, I hope you all know that when I tell you about the chances or possibilities or probability of getting invitation, I'm sharing my experience and my knowledge in terms of, giving you as much as information so, you can get onto the right track. So if you're sitting on, I mean, by no means that I've got intention to make you disappointed that, okay, well, why did I say that? I'm trying to bring the facts here that anybody sitting on 65 or 70 points, that's not a very good score in terms of 190. Everybody needs to understand that 190 is a direct permanent residency and that's the best alternative after 189. And we all know that 189 invitation round, biggest one happened in December 2022, and it's nearly 14 to 15 months by now. We haven't had any good invitation round. So everybody is waiting for 189 and they are relying on 190. That's where the competition goes high for 190. So with 70 points, I doubt it that you will end up getting 190 invitation. Try to work on your PTE, try to claim work experience points, sit for NATI. If you haven't done any of that, then only you can increase your chances, but do not just rely on 190 with 70 points. That's my recommendation. I hope that helps you, Deepak. Now, Wade is asking again, what is 80 points for 190, is 80 points for 491 is good in WA for civil engineer? Yes, Wade, it's all good. 80 point is good enough. We have had people getting invitation with as a civil engineering draft person, civil engineer, even with 491 and 190 with 75 to 80 points. So it's all good. The score is not an issue. However, my recommendation is to try to find a job in your profession because I've got a very strong feeling in the next financial year. Because as we all know, for civil engineers, W is one of the best state, and they are accepting the application without having a job offer letter or for 491. Either it's for 491 or 190. For 491, they don't need a job offer. But for 190, they do need a job offer. But what I feel in next financial year, they may put this requirement back on that you have to have a job offer letter or you may be working in your profession because most of the states who are accepting the application for 190, 491, they expect you to be working in your profession. Majority of the state, not all the state, majority of the state. And going on forward, the way it looks, it's very competitive. I believe that, other states who do not have this requirement as of now, they may put this requirement if the similar trend goes further. If the invitation or 189 invitation round doesn't happen, all the state will get strict as well in terms of selection criteria because of the supply and demand. The quota would be limited and the applicants are too many out there. So they have to put filter on to pick the right applicants. So for all of you who are not working in a profession, try to find a job in a profession and try to, like, increase your points if you can. These are the few things that I would like to share. Now I've got from Nimeshi, I have 75 points, 190 for accounting, working as well, but I didn't get any invitation. I'm about to start a course in early childhood in Victoria. Do you think there will be demand for early child? Oh yeah, for sure, Nimeshi. If you are struggling to get invitation with 75 points for accounting, which obviously, you're on the right track, you have to have a plan B. You cannot just 100% rely on 190. 189 is out of the picture, but 190 you cannot rely on that 100%. You mentioned that you're working in your profession as well. So I don't know, I mean, if you have looked into the training visa category or, at the same time, temporary skill shortage visa, which is for a two visa if your employer is happy to sponsor you. That's another pathway that leads to permanent residency. However, if your employer is not willing to sponsor you, yes, early childhood course is a pretty good course. As at the moment, it will stay in demand, not just the next year, for next 4 to 5 years, I would say it will stay in demand. For any of you who want to find out, okay, well, it'll be in demand, just get on to seek.com.au, just put as a pre-primary school teacher or early childhood teacher or a kindergarten teacher and look for the number of jobs available out there. That tells you whether it will stay in demand or not. So yes, in short, the answer is it will stay in demand for good 4 to 5 years. Considering, the lot of applicants jumping into this profession, the criteria may change in the near future. But when you talk about demand and the jobs availability, yes, it will be there. I hope that helps and that answers your question, Nimeshi. Now, Aravaneth Ganesh is asking transportation manager, project manager with 80 points also. Just wanted to know about going to student visa bachelor to master with the recent change on visa hopping. Can I apply for masters onshore or do I still have to do this offshore? Mr. Ganesh, I don't know, you just joined, I believe, but I mentioned that in the this live session before when we started this live session. Government has announced this that, okay, well, it's not allowed, but it's not nobody, I mean, let me be very honest and upfront with all of you, because this is the most common question get asked from any applicant to a migration agent. It doesn't say anywhere that the new changes that they have proposed that, it will implement to all the students. Basically, the way it has been explained and the way I've understood, you can still apply for education or a student visa after your 485 visa if you're showing your career progression to the department. When you apply for a student visa, if you've done bachelor's and has consumed your 485 visa, if you're applying for the student visa, definitely recommended course would be master's related to your previous profession or previous study or your relevant work experience. Show the career progression that makes your statement of purpose or GTE strong, that you are trying to upskill your knowledge in your relevant area, and the chances of getting the visa are higher. The problem would be for those applicants that they have done masters or bachelors here, they have used their 485 visa. Now going on further, they'll apply for an advanced diploma of business. They are, going down in terms of AQF level from bachelor's to diploma or advanced diploma. If you don't show the career progression, that leaves a question mark to the case officer from the department that, well, this person is trying to extend the stay in the country and they do not have any genuine intention. Anybody who studied bachelor's and used 485 visa, they've already been in the country for more than 5 years. Now they're just trying to do any XYZ course to extend their stay in Australia, which kind of, weakens your GTE or GT criteria, which is genuine temporary entrant criteria, and the chances of refusal for the visa gets higher. So show your career progression, try to use your work experience relevant to the study you're going to apply for, and I'm pretty much sure it should be okay. So in terms of visa hopping, as I said, I tried my best to explain how the department will be looking at it, but I don't see any reason if you have been going with the course that relates to your profession or your work experience that shows to the department whether you want to progressively, improve your career opportunities in the future. Hope that helps, Mr. Ganesh. The next one I've got is from Muhammad Abdul Qadir. Puneet Raj, for now, it's a bit tricky. Wait for new financial year announcement. Hopefully, you'll get it. Dar ke aage Puneet bhai. Well said, Mohammed. Yes, that's right. I mean, I'm glad that you all understand that it's not straightforward anymore how it used to be. Obviously, everybody had a good time. For those students or applicants who applied for the expression of interest in December 2022, massive invitation round happened. 35,000 invitations were issued. So a lot of applicants were lucky to get the invitation. For those who missed out, definitely it's getting a bit tricky for them. Not easy anymore, but you need to try to find out other ways, which is the reason why we do these live session Ask Aussies. Ask us the questions, how we can guide you, and so you can get onto the right path of ways how you can achieve the permanent residency in Australia as soon as possible. All right, so I think let me just quickly go through if there's any other question I can see on my screen. Okay, yeah, I think I lost few questions while I was answering the other questions. So please feel free to ask it again. I don't see all the questions on the screen. Himmat Singh is asking, sir, where in New South Wales 75 points? Hemant with 75 points. Surveyor, it's a good profession. It's a unique profession. I believe you're talking about quantity survey. So it's a unique profession. But I just mentioned before that, for New South Wales, obviously the requirement for 190 is a bit different and straightforward. But considering that the requirement is pretty straightforward, living there for 6 months, if you're working in your profession, yes, there is a very, very good chance for you to, because of the profession itself, it's unique. It's not very common like IT or engineering. Surveyor, it's in huge demand at the moment. A lot of construction or development happening in New South Wales or all over Australia, I should say. There is a chance, but if you're working in a profession, the chances would be higher. If you're not working in a profession, I would say try to increase 10 more points to increase the chances of invitation. And I believe you're living in New South Wales. So, yeah, working in a profession is okay. If not, try to increase your points. That's what I would recommend. But yeah, going back to the same thing, guys, for those of you who did not, join us before, I know it's getting a bit tricky. Like Mohammed mentioned before, that it's not easy nowadays to get the invitation straight away. 189 is not happening much. 190, 491, the criteria gets stricter. The criteria is a bit tight nowadays. Not every single person who's lodging the expression of interest, receiving the invitation, there is a lot of competition out there. What you should do as an applicant, try to look for alternative ways for permanent residency, like employer-sponsored visas, training visa, 482 visa, or 186 visa. Most importantly, I would like to mention this as well, that if you had an experience from overseas, you can consider that a work experience towards employer-sponsored visa if you have an employer to sponsor you. And for those applicants who are struggling for the invitation with short-term occupation, do look into temporary skill shortage 482 visa. And I'm sure, if you have an employer to sponsor you, it does lead to permanent residency easy go. All right, so Deep Singh is asking, when is process increasing for skill assessment? When is process? Sorry, I didn't get your question, Deep. When is process increasing for skill assessment? I didn't get the question. I mean, I don't know if you're trying to ask when is the price increasing, or I didn't. Can you please put that question again so I can understand it and answer that question in the right manner? Hemant is asking again, 491, the electronic engineer, 85 points, New South Wales. Hemant, I'm not sure with 491. Are you working in your profession, or you're just relying on that pathway too, where you just lodge your expression of interest? Are you relying on that? If you're not working in your profession, then definitely, it's a little bit tricky and a little bit tight with 491 because they prefer applicants with applicant working in their profession. But saying that, I believe that, New South Wales have got enough quota left for this financial year. Keep staying in regional area. I got a very good and strong feeling that they may reduce the requirement or they may put the requirement down in upcoming months, considering they do not have enough applicants in regional for 491. So continue your residency there and, secure and make sure you have got enough evidence to prove that you've been living in regional area, and try to find a job in that skill level 1, 2 category, because finding a job for 491 as an electronic engineer in regional New South Wales. It's not easy, but if you're working in your profession, definitely that helps a lot. Kunal Kapoor is asking, Deep Singh is asking prices. When is prices increasing for skill assessment? So Deep, usually when we talk about the prices, it happens every financial year. Like most likely, the price for skill assessment or any visa category would be increasing in July or maybe end of June. They announced that okay, from next financial year, this is what the new price structure would be. So skill assessment, obviously, depending which profession you're talking about, but most likely it happens in the start of the financial year, which is July this year, in the next 3 to 4 months of time. Now, Kunal is asking, hi Prince, what do you think about Queensland's 190? Will they be doing any priority processing? I doubt it, Kunal. For 190, they'll be doing priority processing because I had a word with them recently, and they've got enough applications for 190, but their preference is to fill 491 first, and then they'll be looking at 190 because 190 they've got very limited quota left. I don't think they'll be doing the priority processing for 190, but for 491 they've got enough quota left, and they want to make sure they get the right applicant and fill the quota with those applicants who are continuing their job in their profession and who have got enough points to, receive the invitation. So I don't think it'll happen for 190, unfortunately. Bobby's back again. Hi, sir. This is Bobby again. I have 105 points for telecommunication field engineer. I live in New South Wales. Will they invite me as they are not inviting any other engineer occupant? Will New South Wales invite engineers who are not in priority sector? Bobby, it's hard to say in terms of points. Obviously, you are at the top level. You can't go anything beyond 105 points. First of all, hats off to you. You got or accumulated that many points. It's amazing. The points is not an issue at all. But in terms of engineers, the trend we have seen in this financial year for last 6 to 8 months is for engineers, definitely it has been a bit tight. I'm not sure you're talking just about 190. I don't know if you've looked into the category of 491 or not, because 190, it may be a bit tight for engineers, but 491, considering there are not enough applicants meeting the criteria for 491, I would say if you're living in regional New South Wales, that increases your chances for 491 as well, because being in Sydney metropolitan city, you are not eligible for 491. But if you move to a regional, or I'm sure there would be other areas around Sydney metropolitan where you can move into those postcodes which falls under the regional category. If you're there, you can apply for 190 as well as 491. You get eligible for both visa categories, but do not just rely on 190, because engineers, as you said yourself, and you have seen the trend that engineers has not been it's not one of those professions for New South Wales, what we have seen in last 6 to 8 months. They're not prioritizing it. But as I mentioned, there is a possibility, but try to move your location to regional so you get eligible for both visa categories before you run out of time. I hope that helps, Bobby. Now, MDS Ahmed is asking, I've applied 186 direct entry and now on bridging visa. Now I want to add my wife for 186. We got married in Australia in October. She's on the student visa. What is the option for me? Do I need to reply from immigration, or I can add her anytime? I already submitted my circumstances change form. Okay, Mr. Ahmed, you can certainly apply, add your wife in your visa application while it is in process. Obviously you have to pay to the government as well, and you have to, fill the form as well that you want to, add your, send an email. I mean, if you're done through a migration agent, let them know that, they will pretty much tell you what the process is. So you have to apply to the government, department. They will issue a bridging visa A letter to your wife as well. And at the same time, I would recommend is to get a letter from your employer who sponsored you for direct entry, that they do not have any objection for you to include your wife in the application, and submit that letter to the department as well in your nomination application. So, obviously you would have done the nomination application. So attach that letter in the nomination as well as visa, just to make sure that, department is aware that, department is aware that your employer has given consent to include your wife in the application. I hope that helps. So DJ is asking again, I heard Queensland is prioritizing 491 for onshore. Anything for offshore as I'm offshore? Sorry, DJ, this is only for the onshore applicants. And, especially for those applicants who are working in their profession and living in Queensland. So it's not for offshore, unfortunately. So you may have to miss out on this. It's basically for those applicants who are living in the state, regional area and working in their profession and meeting the requirements. If anything come and, keep watching our, updates on our Facebook page, where if anything like this comes up, we always put that information on board. So you get to know, you're the first one who get to know. And if you're eligible, reach out to us or your migration agent who can assist you further. So guys, I think that's about it. We already had a session for about nearly an hour. I tried my best to answer as many as questions I could. And I would like to, say Happy Women's Day again to all the females who connected with us today for this live session. And, I'm based in Queensland, and I don't know, majority of the applicants, I believe, were based in Victoria. If you are already connected with us, and if you're running out of your visa or you're running out of your options, do go and see any of the migration agents from Aussizz offices. Or if you're already connected with your migration agent, whoever you're processing your application with, and if you think that there are not many options left for you, give us an opportunity to find out other ways for yourself. Book a consultation with any of the Aussizz offices across Australia. We are pretty much based everywhere. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I wish you all the best, everybody. Hopefully, you may end up getting invitation for either 189, 190, or 491. And I can see some questions coming up on the screen. Before I leave, I'll just take one or two questions, but I do not want to stretch it too long, because we will answer all these questions once I get offline. So Sahil Wora is asking, chances of a bachelor's of social work degree from India assessment through Aqua. Now, Sahil, I'm not sure if you had a chance to look at these skill assessment requirements, because you need a work experience if you want to get your bachelor's degree from overseas assessed from Aqua. So if you've worked in your profession and if you got 7 each, yes, there is a possibility. But for further information, as I said, it's hard for me to straight away answer that. You need minimum 1 to 2 years of work experience as a social worker. If you meet these requirements and if you've got the IELTS, yes, it is possible to get the skill assessment. Sheikh Malik Amir is asking, any idea about financial year 2025 allocation planning level? Thank you. Sorry, Sheikh, we do not have any information as of now for next financial year, but I wouldn't be surprised if it would be similar to the financial year of 2024, because the way government is going ahead, they're making a lot of changes. So obviously, when they make new changes, they don't come up with a full quota straight away. They will have a pilot program, or they will have the initial, like the next financial would be the first financial where they're going to implement those changes. So I don't think the quota will be huge for next financial year. But if you ask me, going further, I believe in 2026, yes, there would be a good number of quota we can expect from the government, but not for the next financial year. I believe it would be similar or maybe a little less for next financial year. So Jaskaran is asking, please answer me, which state is good for Chef 190 currently residing in Victoria? Jaskaran, all the states are pretty good for Chef, but saying that, depending on the points, how many points you're sitting at. If you're sitting at good points, definitely Victoria is a good option. But being a chef, I would highly recommend, if you got experience, look for 186 or 482 option if you do not have enough points. I think that's pretty much it, guys. I guess that's, yeah. So I've tried my best to answer as much as I could. So yeah, wish you all the best, everyone. And I hope you got some valuable information out of this session. I understand a lot of applicants are finding it hard to get the invitation, but you gotta just go with the flow and try to find out what are the other options available to you to get the invitation, or the employer sponsored visa, training visa, or what pathway you should continue with, or what course you should do to get your chances higher for getting this invitation. So yeah, that's pretty much it from myself, guys. I wish you all happy weekend, and stay safe, stay in touch, and keep recommending our services to your friends who are already processing with us. And if you have any more doubts, if you feel that all of your options are over, give us an opportunity to assist you, or come in for the consultation so we can find out what other ways how we can help you with that. Thanks everyone once again. Take care. Have a good one.